What's up, Royals? Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to grow tomatoes in any container for beginners. So if you are looking for that homegrown tomato taste but you just don't have the space to grow tomatoes in ground, a case maybe you live in an apartment and you just have a small balcony, or you have a small patio, or you're like myself and you just don't have much yard space, this is a great option for you. So if that sounds like you, just keep on watching. So I'm Princess Tonetra and I'm going to walk you step by step on planting your first tomato plant in a container. So in this video I'm going to be using a Rama tomato and it just looks like this. I started these tomatoes indoors from seed earlier this season, so it's about time to get these babies in their final pot. So to make this process as easy as possible, because planting tomatoes can get a little bit tricky, so this is going to be the easiest way to plant your tomatoes and get things growing. The first step in planting your tomato is deciding on what type of container you're going to use. In my case, I'm going to use this 5-gallon bucket that I picked up from Lowe's. It was around $3, so I thought it would be a great option for people who are on a budget like myself and want to get some planting going. So I drilled 3 holes on the sides of this bucket, and the reason for drilling the holes on the side of the bucket was because it's very hot in Texas. I live in Texas and it gets around 107 degrees in the daytime. Right now it is blazing outside, so I don't want my tomato plants to dry out. Having these holes 2 inches off of the bottom is going to create a small reservoir so that you can have that wiggle room between watering. So if you're not at home during the day or something like that, you won't have to worry about your tomato just drying out completely in this summer heat. I did this with a drill, and I just grabbed this drill from Walmart. This is a drill bit. This is called a spade drill bit, and I used the 3/4 size, and I feel like that worked perfectly for what I'm trying to do. So it just depends on your container that you're going to use, what size hole you want to create, but this drill bit creates a perfect hole. So it's called a spade drill bit, and if you have a electric drill already at home, this is going to be super easy for you to just create your own planter. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Now, when you're planting your tomato plants, you want to use a 5-gallon bucket or bigger, because tomato plant roots get super huge and they just need a lot of soil and space. So you want to allow your plant to grow and give you the best fruit that it can possibly give you. I opted for the 5-gallon. You can go up to 10-gallon, 20-gallon, whichever you prefer. You can use clay pots, you can use cloth pots, you can use aluminum, you can use plastic. Another thing with these plastic containers, you want to make sure that the plastic is food safe. On the bottom of this container, it has a recycling number of number 2. The recycling numbers that are safe for food are 1, 2, 4, and 5. Those 4 numbers are going to be safe for food. So on to the second step is soil and fertilizers. You want to pick a soil that is going to be super light and fluffy so that air and moisture can move through the soil. So I've chosen to use Miracle Grow, and this is just called potting mix. And for my fertilizer, you want to have a slow release fertilizer, and then you want to have a water soluble fertilizer. So for my fertilizer, I went with the Dr. Earth, and this is a 463. You want to have a 555, but you can get away with plus or minus 1 or 2. So this will be perfect for a slow release fertilizer. And then you want a water soluble fertilizer. So I like to use the Alaska fish fertilizer. This is a 511. So this is not going to burn your tomato plant. So this is great for after you've planted your tomato and you're just going to water it in with this soluble fertilizer. So we've gone over the basics of what container you're going to use and your soils and fertilizers. So now it's time to get to the fun stuff. Let's start planting. So I'm going to go ahead and take my soil and fill my container halfway full. Baby, it's heavy. Okay, so we're going to fill her up halfway. Okay, that looks about right. So go ahead and just work the soil with your hands. And just make sure that there aren't any large clumps or anything like that. And this is a nice, soft, fluffy soil, perfect for tomato plants. And this soil cost me around, I think it was 10 bucks. So now, so you have your pot halfway full. You want to go ahead and mix in your slow release fertilizer into this bottom soil. Whatever fertilizer you use, just make sure that you read on the back of the package what the measurements are for how big your container is. For this particular fertilizer, it calls for 1/4 cup for every 5 gallons. I'm going to measure 1/4 cup because I have a 5-gallon pot. So you're just going to go ahead and sprinkle it in. And then just go ahead and mix it in with your hands. You want to make sure that you mix it well. You never want to plant any type of plant on straight fertilizer. It could end up burning your plant, so you want to make sure that you mix it in well. Now that we have our fertilizer mixed into half a bucket of soil, I'm going to go ahead and take my tomato plant and I'm just going to prune off these bottom leaves like that. Tomato plants, their stems will turn into roots, so you want a good root for your tomato plant. So we're going to go ahead and bury this 3 inches down into the soil. And you see we have a little bit of swirling at the roots. You just want to break it up just a little bit. And this is actually perfect right now for planting. So just break that up. And go ahead and dig a nice little hole. And just stick your tomato plant right on in. And you kind of want this soil to meet perfectly up with the plant soil, if that makes sense. So you want your tomato plant to just sit right in there just nicely. After you've gotten that planted, we're going to go ahead and just pour in this soil to about 3 inches of the way up the tomato plant stem. Go ahead and bury that stem nicely so that you can get a good root system going for this plant. So your plant should look something like this, and that is perfect. You want to go ahead and fertilize it with a water-soluble fertilizer because this puts a lot of stress on the plant when you take it from its original home and put it somewhere else. Now, for the fish fertilizer, this is a 511, and this is perfect for tomatoes. So it calls for 1 tablespoon per gallon. 1 tablespoon. We're just going to dump it in this gallon. We're going to give this a good shake. And we're going to go ahead and water our plant. You want to give this a good water and make sure the soil is nicely soaked. And when you're fertilizing your plant, you want to fertilize your plant every 10 to 14 days so that you can grow a nice, healthy plant. Your plant should be watered in nicely. And yeah. So the last steps to making sure that you're growing a nice, healthy tomato plant is watering in sunlight. You want to water your plant often if it's summertime. So every place is different. So I would say use the finger method. So you're going to stick your finger 3 inches down into the soil. And if you don't feel any moisture, you know you need to water your tomato plant. Now, as for sunlight, tomato plants like at least 6 to 8 hours of full sunlight. So you want to make sure that you're putting your tomato plant somewhere that gets full sunlight because that's how you're going to get the best harvest. This video will have probably 2 more episodes on how to prune your tomato plant, how to stake your tomato plant, and hopefully we get to harvest. So I'll be sharing this tomato plant's harvesting with you guys. I hope that you like this video. It's super easy. Any beginner gardener can do this, and container gardening is so easy and so rewarding, and I just feel like everybody should at least try. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will catch you in my next one. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye, Royals!